Hello class, welcome to the last final module, Module 6 of Mexican American Fine Arts Appreciation. This is going to be covering the period from 1994 until present day. We don't really go too far into extremely current events, as it were, but we're going to address some of the current issue of immigration and migration, just as it has been an issue for quite some time among Mexican Americans and Mexicans and people trying to come to this country and to find a better life for themselves. But this is a hotbed of possible discussion, so I know it could be, even right now, there's deliberation in the government about building a wall, and that is a heated topic of debate in current events, is for sure. But we're going to look at the concept of migration in week 15 of Module 6. We're going to watch a TED Talk by a guy, Alvaro Huerta, and he's going to talk about migration is a universal human right. So we're gonna watch that TED Talk, and then we're also going to watch a really moving film called Under the Same Moon, and this is a film about a mother and her son who are separated, and she's come to the U.S. and he is still back in Mexico, and it's kind of a sad story, but anyway, you'll see. But it deals with the problems of these families being divided and the separation anxiety that exists. And I don't want to give away the film, but it is a good movie. It's heartwarming. If it doesn't bring a tear to your eye, then you are not human. No, it's really a good film. And then in our last and final week, week 16, we're going to we're still dealing with some contemporary issues here, but I'm gonna, because I have a background personally, in humanities and theology and the academic study of religion. In fact, I would say probably what led me down the path of really cherishing Mexican American and Latino humanities was when I took a course on Latin American religions when I was at TCU, and that was the first time I was studying the religion of Mexicans and Mexican Americans. And I did a project on Santa Muerte, Saint Death, and just fascinates me to no end. I really love studying this, and so I thought it would be. I always like to end my classes, honestly, with the last week kind of being like the thing that you just kind of go for. It's a little bit probably the most controversial, the most debated stuff that you would find, but really it's you just have to read the articles and listen to the leading scholar. I think we could honestly say this guy, Chestnut, he's the scholar. He has written a book about Saint Death and published, I think, with Oxford University Press. Anyway, so last week we're going to look at the phenomenology of this symbol of death, and Santa Muerte is kind of like a transformed version of La Virgen de Guadalupe, but it's the Grim Reaper, but still venerated as a saint and prayed to, and candles are burned in her honor. She's often associated with a lot of criminal activity, drugs, smuggling, human trafficking, and we kind of find this image associated with those people and those lifestyles, often committing, crime and whatever else, but still also venerated and adored among very normal, just regular folks who worship Santa Muerte and pray to her because of the power that death holds over us all. And if there was any deity that should be appealed to, it would be the one that we're all subjected to in this thinking, that we're all going to die. And so you might be good to have a good relationship with the god of death, or whatever you want to call it. Interesting stuff, and so we'll get into that. And then we'll only have one discussion in this module, and it's in discussion 6.1, and you're just going to kind of talk about what interested you most in the class. Anything you liked, didn't like, things you want to, things you could see being different. It's kind of an opportunity just to talk about it. If there was something you didn't understand or something you wish that we'd gone into more depth about. You don't have to reply to anybody on this last and final discussion, but do post. You will be graded. Your whole grade will hinge on your initial and only post. You don't have to reply to anybody, but you can if you want to. You're more than welcome to respond to each other. It just isn't required. The deliverables for our last and final module are film analysis number 4, Under the Same Moon, is what you're going to write about. And then you will have your last summary analysis number 6, and you'll read the article, How a Brutal Chicago Gang and Its Cult of Death Left a Trail of Murder, and that has to do with Santa Muerte. And then we have our final exam, and then you have your fine arts / cultural visit response paper. As you will see in the guidelines, it's not a whole lot to write, but it is a reflection. This is your field research for the class, and the 50% of this grade is hinging on you including proof of your visit. You might wonder, well, what is proof of my visit? Well, anything that proves beyond a reasonable doubt that you actually attended the event, or the museum, or the performance, or the gallery, or whatever. Prove it. I know you're college level students, so would you're smart enough, would you be convinced if this was the information you were presented? Think of it that way. So ticket stubs, a selfie, a brochure, a pamphlet, all the above, scanned together. The more, the better. So you're on the honor system, obviously, and I've had students who've tried to pull a fast one, and I usually catch them. It's either pretty obvious you did go, you try to fake and prove that you went, but you didn't actually go. It's kind of easy to figure out. That's no cut against you or anyone. It's just easy to figure out if somebody's being honest and forthcoming about somewhere they physically visited or not. So pictures, scans, whatever you can do to prove you were there. The burden of proof is on you, and if I don't think that it proves it, I may ask you to explain to me how it could. If it doesn't, maybe you could clarify how this verifies you were physically there, and if you're not convinced, then I'm not convinced. So, but 50% of your grade for that assignment hinges on proving you actually were there. All right, so that's Module 6. That's the last module in the class. That's chapters 15 and 16. And that brings our Mexican American Fine Arts Appreciation course to a close. I've enjoyed having you in the class. I'll see you around.